Shalom, 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 Israel. First, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. Ba'ashem HaMashiach U'Madak Yahushua. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, which the world calls God. And Yahushua is the name of His only begotten Son, who the world inwardly calls Jesus Christ. First, I want to give a hearty, strong shalom to all the mighty brothers that go out there, they're laboring. They're presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice. They're doing all they can to wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel. They're enduring the elements, the 100-degree weathers, the freezing below colds, and everything that's trying to hinder the work of the Most High. Shalom, shalom to those mighty brothers. I want to give another strong shalom to all the mighty Aqua, the sisters that are at home. They're reverencing their husbands. They're being teachers of good things. And the unmarried sisters as well, being tender, delicate, and on fire for the Most High God. Shalom, shalom. I want to give another strong shalom to all the mighty teenagers and children in this truth, doing all they can to make their calling and election sure in the last days. It's Brother Tazamah coming at you with another cold cut through the Spirit. And the topic of this cold cut is titled, The World or the Truth. Right? The world or the truth. You must choose one. Right? I'm going to repeat that again. The world or the truth. You must choose one, man. Right? And life, and not even just life itself, but this truth is about choices. This truth is about the tough decision making. Are you able to make decisions quick and righteous? And throughout this truth and your life, you're going to have to make choices, man. And every choice has a consequence. Every choice that you make is either life or death. Whatever choice you make. So again, the topic of this cold cut is, guess what? The world or the truth. You must choose one. What are you going to choose? What's going to be your choice? We're going to be going over the decisions you have to make, what you must choose, what's going to happen if you don't choose the right one, how you could choose things through your actions. We're going to be covering in depth, diving into the world, precepts, coming out of it, cutting it off, etc. So let me kick it off with the classic. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 30 and 15. Right? The world or the truth. You must choose one. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 30 and 15. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30 and verse number 15. I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. See, the Lord has always set before man life and good, death and evil. Every decision you make is a choice, right? It's like every choice you make is life or death. And unto man is going to be like it unto whomsoever he willeth. So guess what? The Lord is always setting decision making, choices. Even in temptation, you have to choose, guess what? Am I going to indulge in this or not? Right? It might be a real matter. Guess what? Dang, do I have to go to the store or do I not? Do I wait? Guess what? This is what life is a part of. So guess what? The Lord has set before man. I'm going to read that again. Deuteronomy chapter 30 and 15. It reads, See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. So you have life and good, then you have death, evil, and destruction and woe. Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 15. All right, let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 15, and verse number 17. Right? A lot of men just think your choices is always going to equal good. Whatever you do, hey, well, it's the will of the Lord. Right? The Lord, He controls everything. It is what it is. I had that mentality. If you want to, you're going to end up being destroyed, man. You're going to have a sore destruction. You have to literally consider, sit down, meditate upon these things, and have the right judgment. Or else, brother, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your life, man. Right? Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 15. Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 15 and verse number 17. It says, before man is life and death, and whether him liketh shall be given him. So that's plain upon the table, man. You have life on this side, which equals the right hand side. Then you have left, which is destruction and evil. Guess what? That's on the left hand side. It's up to you to make that decision. A lot of men, you have poor decision making, right? Just look what you know who you are. You're not able to make back. You're not able to make good decisions, right? It's your last dime, your last dollar. You go spend it on the chain, man. You don't have any money, you just spend it on the chain. When you could use that money to buy a house or food, right? A lot of you women, you have poor decision making as well, right? Poor time management. All of these things is found in the scriptures. So it says, before man is life and death, whether him liketh shall be given him. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 21 and 8. Right, let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 21 and verse number 8. And it reads, and unto this people thou shalt say, thus saith the Lord, behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. So during the time of Jeremiah, when you had the Babylonians coming to siege it, Jeremiah is warning these people, guess what? The Lord has set before you life and death. Let's read on. Verse 9. He that abideth in his city shall die by the sword, and by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he that goeth out and falleth to the Chaldeans that besiege you, he shall live, and his life shall be unto him for a prey. So the Lord said, guess what? If you go out, if you serve the Babylonians, if you get your captivity over with, if you own up to your sins, guess what? The Lord is going to cause you to live. The Most High is going to cause you to prosper going forward. But if you decide not to, let's read on. Verse 10. For I have set my face against this city for evil and not for good, saith the Lord. It shall be given into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall burn it with fire. So if you decide to what? Stay in this place, not serve the king of Babylon, you're going to die by pestilence, the sword, famine, hunger, an evil destruction. And you had certain men, guess what? They didn't want to serve Nebuchadnezzar, like Zedekiah, right? And Jehoiakim. Zedekiah got his eyes put out, all because he cared about what somebody thought about him. And guess what? That was a bad decision he made, and it cost him his eyes. How much more, man, how much more you walk in everyday life and you have to make choices, right? But again, the topic of this cold cut is the world or the truth, and you must choose one, right? You have to choose. It's either you choose this world and the things that come with it, or you choose this truth. Let's go to Matthew chapter 6, right? Let's go to the book of Matthew. Before we go to Matthew chapter 6, let me bring this out in Job chapter 36 and verse number 10. To add unto that, right? Job chapter 36 and verse number 10. It says, he openeth also their ear to discipline, and commandeth that they return from iniquity. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasures. And again, this goes back to what we said earlier. Every decision you make is life or death. You have good and you have evil. If you make the right decisions, guess what? You have good laid up from you from the Lord. Now, if you make bad decisions and poor decision making, predicated off sin, fornication, lust, slothfulness, guess what? It's going to be a negative consequence. Again, that's not just with this truth, that's in life general, right? Guess what? Go be a thug if you want to, man. Guess where you're gonna end up at? You're gonna end up in a penitentiary. Or you're gonna either die. Guess what? You wanna end up a harlot? You wanna end up in the streets? Play the fast road? A lot of women, they throw their life away. They get hooked on drugs, cocaine. Then they lose themselves. They shave off their hair. All hell breaks loose. All because of their decision making. So the Lord said what? If they obey him and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasures. But if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. See that? That's plain upon tables. So now that we laid the foundation, let's go to the book of Matthew chapter 6. Let's go to the book of Matthew, the 6th chapter. Right? It's the book of Matthew chapter 6 and verse number 24. And it reads, no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. So guess what? You come into this truth, you're going to find out that you can't serve two masters, man. What are the two masters that it's talking about? Is it talking about your slave master as your so-called workplace, Esau? You're either going to serve Esau or Ishmael. Is that what it's talking about? No, the two masters in this context is the Most High God and the spiritual demon Satan. The Lord tells you straight up and down, you can't serve the God or the devil. Ain't no in between. May you serving the Lord 3 days out the week, right? Then on the 6th day, right before the Sabbath, you serving Satan and sin. So the Lord said you're either going to serve one wholeheartedly or you're going to serve the other wholeheartedly. It's no in between. It's no 50-50. Right? And if you are finding yourself doing that, you need to check. You need to examine yourself immediately. Right? Before the Lord appoints you to what the hypocrites are. And it's a weeping and gnashing of teeth. Right? Let's go to the book of Romans, chapter 6. Let's go to Romans, the 6th chapter. Right? You have a master in this thing. Chiefly, the first master is the Most High God. That's who you bow down to in righteousness. Right? It's not talking about slavery. Right? The Most High, he's beating your back in. He's telling you to do this and that. No. The Lord gives strict commands that he wants you to follow. If you don't follow that, then you're disobeying your master. You're being a rebellious slave. Because guess what? You're a slave in this thing. If you're in this truth, you're a slave. Right now, a lot of brothers say, well, hold on. What are you talking about? What do you mean I'm a slave? Right? You talking about the so-called white man? No, brother. You're either going to be a slave to the Lord and serve the Most High with all your heart, soul, and mind, or you're going to be a slave to the spiritual demon Satan and your flesh. And you're going to do whatever your flesh tells you to do. Whatever this world tells you to do, that's what you're going to do. So either way, you're a slave. Hey, I'm a slave to the Lord, man. I have no problem with saying that. We slaves to the Most High God. Whatever the Lord says, Lord willing, we're going to do. So let's go to the book of Romans, chapter 6. It's the book of Romans, chapter 6, and verse number 13. Neither yield ye your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves unto God as those that are alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness unto God. For sin shall not have dominion over you. For ye are under the law, but under grace. It's like, for you are not under the law, but under grace. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? God forbid, right? Because you got a lot of brothers who will say, oh, hold on, we're under grace now, we can sin, the law has none effect. No, that's not what it's talking about. That's Romans 6:1. Shall we continue to sin that grace may abound? God forbid. For it said, I don't want to quote, let me read it, verse 2. For God forbid, how shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? So reading on to verse 16. This the point. Know ye not that to whom ye yield to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey, whether of sin unto death, or of obedience unto righteousness. So what it's saying is, either way, you're a servant, you're a slave, right? You're gonna be either a slave unto sin and death, this world, your flesh, lust, slothfulness, evil concupiscence, or guess what? You're gonna be a servant and a slave unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, unto righteousness. You're gonna be a servant unto wisdom, unto whatever the commandments say. That's what you're gonna do. That's what you're gonna follow. Now you can't say, well, hold on. All right, I'm a servant unto the Lord. I'm a servant. I'm a slave unto the commandments. But then 24 hours later, you're a servant unto sin. Now we all know we might fall short. You might be tripping, slipping. You out the spirit. But that's why you have to examine yourselves every day. Whether ye be in a faith, prove your own soul or your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Hamashiach Yahushua is in you, except you be reprobates. That's 2 Corinthians 13:5. So what verse? I'm gonna read that again. It's like, I'm gonna read that again, verse 16. Know ye not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey, whether unto sin, unto death, or of obedience unto righteousness. And now righteousness, again, is everything that's in this world. It's not just, it's manifold sins in the world. You have drunkenness, people they steal. You got thieves out here, murderers. And whatever you're giving, whatever you're serving your flesh, if you're serving your flesh, you're serving this world, right? It's cohesive, right? It links up, right? It all goes in the one and the same. It's synonymous, right? You can't say, you know what, well, I am out the world, but you still serving these demons, man. What your flesh say, you know what, I'm tired, and you just go to sleep. You haven't read, didn't do your prayers that you say you was gonna do, didn't do the studying that you say you was gonna do. You say you was gonna get this done, you just went to sleep, right? That's off. You have now become a servant unto slothfulness. You say you was gonna mortify your members, right? Delete those social medias with all of those Eves on it. You say you was gonna do that, but guess what? Now you beholding them, and you on Snapchat, man. Right? Talking to Lil Rika or Keisha. That's evil. You have now become a servant unto the world. You have now become a servant unto your lust. All of these different things is a part of the world, and guess what? You have to choose the world or the truth. Guess what? You must choose one. The choice is yours. Let's go to the book of 1 John. Right? I want to get this precept in 1 John chapter 2. Right? Dealing with the world. It's the book of 1 John chapter 2 and verse number 15. Alright? 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15. And it reads, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. It reads what? If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Right? So it says love not the world. A lot of brothers, they read over this. They say, okay, it's cool. I don't love the world. Right? Well, brother, what does it mean to love? Love is an action word. Just like a choice is an action. Now, guess what? The Lord said love. How do you show that you love something? We teach on the highways and byways. We teach on the highways and byways all the time that if you love God, you have to keep his commandments. So what does it mean if you love this world? That means you're keeping the commandments of this world. You're keeping whatever sin says, that's what you're doing. You're showing you love this world through your actions. Right? And you have brothers, they do that. No, I don't love the world, dog. Man, I hate this place. Right? Man, I'm choosing this truth any day. Well, brother, your actions say totally different. Right? You was watching Netflix for 3 weeks straight, doing God knows what, eating ice cream, taking a vacation off from it. You haven't been in count. You had this one brother, he only shows up to count 3 times a year. Right? He used to hit this one brother up. He said, you know what, hey, you want to go out and teach? 3 times a year. The rest of the other times, we don't know what he was doing. That's evil, man. So you can choose to love the world through your actions. Let's get that in 1 John chapter 3 and 18. It's the book of 1 John chapter 3 and 18. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue. Because a lot of people, they do that. Right? They love in word and in tongue. You know I love. Jake say that all the time. You know I love you, right? Eve might say, you don't love me, right? Just like Delilah did Samson and took him by her attempts. So you don't want to be the person to love in word, right? It says what? But in deed and in truth. So the way you show you love, not just the Most High, but the way you show you love anything is through your actions. If you always smoking weed, brother, you love weed. It's no, what, I don't like it. You might have a strong dislike for it, but guess what? Your actions show that you love weed. Right? Your actions show that you love tobacco. You love those cigarettes. Right? Those vape pens. Your actions might show. You might say, you know what, I'm not coveted. I don't want what nobody else has. Brother, your actions show that you love covetousness. Right? You always meditating upon vain things. Oh man, I gotta get this. Oh, this person, he got this, man. I want this. Man, I need that. Brother, you covetous. Right? You might say you might not like drink, man. I need to stop drinking. But guess what? It's 8 in the morning and you drinking some Don Julio. Brother, you love drunkenness. Why? Through your actions. Alright? So actions, when it comes to the world and the truth, you must choose one. The one you're going to choose is the one whatever your actions gravitate more to. If your actions is gravitating more towards the truth, well, guess what? You made a great decision. You choosing the right thing. But if your actions is gravitating is more in this world, then well, brother, you all over the place. You love this world. And the Lord said, love not the world. So I'm going to read that again. It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. And again, you could love something and still not have that. What's the word I'm trying to look for? You cannot have that connection to it. Right? For example, Jake, he might have a beautiful family. Married, children, has a dog, right? Nice backyard, nice house, living well off. But guess what? He goes out and he goes and deals with a harlot. Now guess what? That man, he had no connection to the harlot at all. It was no emotional connection. He didn't love the harlot, didn't have any feelings for her. But guess what? Yet his actions showed that he loved sin more than righteousness. Now, guess what? This brother, he may not have emotional feelings towards this harlot. He may still love his woman and his children. But guess what? It didn't show that he loved his woman and his children, chiefly the Most High, all because of the decision that he made. So you cannot love the world, but still your actions could still show differently that you do love the world. Again, you might have a strong dislike for the world. You might actually hate sin, but your actions is the opposite. So let's read on. It says, in the world, in verse 16, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, right, which is manifold. You got homosexuality in the world. That's the lust. That's the lust of the flesh. You got evil concupiscence, going into sexual lust. You got covetousness, which is lust. You got a lot of different lust of the flesh. Lust of the eyes, which we finna read. It says, and the lust of the eyes. And this happens, and that's manifold. That could be, you might see somebody attractive. The lust of the eyes pop up in your head. You might see that covetous, you might be like Mr. Krabs or SpongeBob. He sees money, then his eyes goes dollar signs. Guess what? That's covetous. That's what you call the lust of the eyes, right? You're gonna be like those elders, 2 elders in the book of history of Susanna, that was so blinded by their lust, they couldn't even behold the judgment in the heavens, right? That's evil, right? So you got the lust of the eyes, that's in the world, and the pride of life, right? And pride is everywhere. Pride is in everything. Television, music, right? Damn. Go down to gas station, somebody's prideful. You might be prideful 95% of the times and not even know it. So you have pride out here. All of these things is in the world, man. We did in-depth breakdowns on pride. We're not going to do a whole in-depth breakdown. But it's listing you things that's in the world. And if you're operating in those spirits, well, brother, you made the wrong decision. What you're doing is you're saying that you choose the world over the truth. That's what you just said through your actions. Right? Read it over verse 17. And the world passeth away. That's what a lot of brothers don't know. Right? A lot of brothers, they think just because the prophecies is not kicking off like this, right? Dang, the Lord was... I've been in the truth 5 years. I thought the Lord was been supposed to come back. Why is everybody saying we in the last days? It's been 5 years. Right? Guess what? A lot of brothers, they think that this world is not going to pass away. But everything is temporary. Everything that you can see is temporal. But the things which are not seen are eternal. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and 17. So guess what? This world passeth away, and the lust thereof, and the sin is going to pass away. Sin is not going to forever be on the earth dealing with the Israelites. I'm going to say that. When it comes to the Israelites will not always be sinning and indulging in sin. That's not going to be here forever. Right? This world, this present world, the lust therein, all of these things has a specific time date on it. All right? The Lord is telling you that. It says, but he that doeth the will of God abideth forever. Right? Let me get a quick precept. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 11. So seeing that this world has a time limit on it and it's not forever, I mean, you should know what decision to make. Right? We're not spending... Let me bring this out in Hebrews chapter 11. Right? We was just going over this at camp, I believe last week. It's Hebrews chapter 11 and verse Number 24. By faith, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. Talking about Moses. Choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God. So Moses chose rather to suffer affliction. Go through turmoil, hell, right? Uncomfortable situations. Then to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. That's the point. The pleasures of sin, this world, is only for a season. It's not going to be here forever. What does it mean by a season? Well, you have 4 seasons: winter, fall, spring, right? And summer. Now, does summer last forever? No, summer might last about a good 3-4 months, maybe 4 at the max. But guess what? Then comes fall. Then fall doesn't last forever. Because right after fall comes winter. Winter doesn't last forever. Winter might last 2 months sometimes. It's like it depending on what area you're in. Guess what? Then spring comes in. So just like the 4 seasons are in rotation, that's how sin is. Sin is going to be here today and going tomorrow. It's countless of brothers that have, guess what? They chose 5 minutes of pleasure. And then they missed out on the kingdom of heaven, man. All for 5 minutes of pleasure. Whatever pleasure it was. Brother might have killed somebody. Right? Brother might have made an evil sacrifice. I mean, it's plethora of things you could do for a little bit of time that could cost you your whole life. Your whole life. The kingdom. Eternal life. All for pleasures of sin for a season. Guess what? 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 3 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, a year. That's not worth missing out on the kingdom. That's not worth choosing over this truth. Right? So let's go to the book of James, chapter 4. Right, let's go to the book of James, the 4th chapter. It's the book of James, chapter 4, and verse number 4. Ye adulteresses, ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God. And you got a lot of friends of the world in this truth, man. They friends with they associate. You got Jake saying, I'm just associating with them. Brother, ain't no associating with the world. Right? Still got the old contacts in your phone. Still entertaining those women, those females. Right? Still entertaining that old man. Got old pictures of you reminiscing on who you used to be. You see all the trophies in the room. Right? See the things that you had before you came into the truth. When in actuality, you really didn't have nothing. But Satan, he's an illusionist. Everything's an illusion. And Satan, he's an illusionist. He's playing tricks on your mind. Next thing you know, now you're a friend with the world. And you could be friends many ways. By hanging out with the world. Worldly communication. What else? Worldly music. What else? It's a lot of different things. Things you watch. Right? What you give your time to. All of that could determine if you're a friend in the world. Guess what? The Lord has ops, man. The Lord has oppositions. The Lord has enemies. Let's go to that in Isaiah chapter 66 and 6. The Lord got friends. And the Lord got enemies. I want to bring this out in the book. Let me first bring this out in Isaiah chapter 66. Alright, Jake is not the only one with enemies or foes. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 66 and verse number 6. A voice of noise from the city A voice from the temple, a voice of the Lord that rendereth recompense to his enemies. So the Lord has enemies, man. That's the other nations are his enemies. Guess what? Also, men that's being friends with the world, guess what? You're an enemy in the eyes of God. And the Lord don't care if you're an Israelite. Yeah, you're still God's chosen people. Yeah, the Lord has created your people to be above all people. But guess what? You can still be his enemy at the end of the day. Then you have the friends of the Lord. See if I can get this precept. And I believe that's Psalms 53. Maybe Psalms 51. Slovakia. Psalms chapter. Slovakia. I'm trying to look for this precept. Right? Called Abraham his friend. No, I'm overlooking it. Alright. Slovakia, bear with me. Alright, Lord willing, the precept come back to me. Alright, nevertheless, and you have Abraham, the water, all praise to the Most High. Right? The brother put it in the chat. Let's go to Psalms chapter 41 and 8. Alright. Let's go to Psalms chapter 41 and 8. And it reads, But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham my friend. So guess what? Abraham was called the friend of the Lord. Everybody's not the Most High's friend. The Lord doesn't call everybody his friends. Read about that in John chapter 15 and 10 on down. How, guess what? You are my friends if you do whatsoever I command. Let's get that in John chapter 15. So you have friends and you have enemies. Guess what? The enemies, the men that's operating in this world, they're in the truth. They know about the truth. They know they are Israelite. They know the commandments. They know they've been to multiple feast days. They know better, but they still decide to operate in a different manner and the mannerisms of the world. Guess what? Those are considered the enemies of the Lord. Then you had the friends of the Lord, which is following the Most High wholeheartedly, and they're striving to keep the commandments to the best of their ability. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 15. Right, let's go to John chapter 15 and verse number 14. John 15 and 14. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. So the Lord says straight up and down, guess what? You want to know how to be my friend? Whatever I tell you to do, do it. What does the Lord tell you to do? Guess what? It's all in his Bible. Right? This is everything the Most High, he's telling you what to do and what not to do. It's all in the scriptures. Or you cannot do what the Lord tells you to do and become an enemy of the world. It's like an enemy of the Most High God and in the world. Hey, it's up to you. Let's go to the book of 2 Timothy. Alright. Let's go to the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 4. So again, topic of this cold cut is the world or the truth. Alright, you must choose one. You must choose one. Hey, now the real women and men of the Lord, hey, they gonna make the right decision, man. Without a shadow of a doubt. They gonna say, hey, let a brother ask me that, humbly speaking. I'm gonna look at him sideways. What are you talking about? Who am I choosing? Hey, I'm gonna let my actions be known. Right? I'm gonna show my faith by my works. Alright? Now you got certain brothers, they say, get asked that question, they second guessing it, man. They saying, wow, I wasn't expecting that one. What do you mean you wasn't expecting that question? You should have your mind already made up. Who you gonna serve? Who you gonna choose? Let's go to the book of 2 Timothy chapter 4. This is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse number 9. And it reads, do thy diligence to come surely unto me, for Demas have forsaken me, having loved this present world, and is departed unto Thessalonica, Crescens to Galatia, Titus into Dalmatia. So you had Demas that was once saluted. He was laboring with the Apostle Paul, right? He was on fire at one point in time. Then guess what? He loved this present world. Now, how did Demas love the world? Did he buy the world a Valentine's Day card, wrote his signature in there, gave the world some flowers, played a love song? No, he stopped laboring. He forsook the Apostle Paul. He stopped laboring. And him stop laboring showed him that he loved the world over this truth. So guess what? That could be you in any type of way. You could stop reading. You could stop fasting. Next thing you know, it's weeks without you fasting. Weeks turn into months. Stop praying. Stop going as hard as you used to. Right? More worldly music is coming up. Worldly conversations. You can't control yourself anymore. You're always out the spirit. You live in a double life. Guess what? You're going to be like Demas. And you're going to love this world. And you're going to be destroyed. Right? So don't be like Demas and love this present world through your actions. Let's go to the book of Romans. Actually, we're going to hold that. Let's go to the book of Hebrews, chapter 13. Right? Hebrews, chapter 13. And verse number 5. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 13. And verse number 5. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. So guess what? Man, this whole chapter is good. This whole chapter is crazy. I'm going to hold that, right? Let me read that again. Let your conversation be without covetousness. So your worldly, I could tell you love this world is, guess what? It's through your conversations. The things you say, what you talk about, right? The things that come out of your mouth. That could show that you love this world. Are you the brother? You just blot out everything. You don't think before you say, right? You just say things. That's just unusual. All right? That's off. Talking about things that ought not to be talked about. Jumping down to verse number 7. It says, remember them which have the rule over you, who have spoken unto you the word of God, who faith follow, considering the end of their conversation. So you want to consider those whose faith follow them. And not only that, those men and women, guess what? They consider their conversation. They say, you know what, this isn't a wise word. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to spew that out. I'm not going to expound on this. Hey, it's not, hey, knowing the time and the place when to say things, when it's not, when to rebuke somebody, when to not rebuke them. All that is a part of what? A conversation. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 16. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, and verse number 20. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and 20. He that handleth a matter wisely shall find good, and whoso trusteth in the Lord, happy is he. So you have to ask yourself, do you handle matters wisely? Or do you handle matters like you in the world, man? You have certain men, they handle it, your wife comes to you about a matter, you shut up. That's go cook, that's off. Right? How do you handle matters? Do you handle matters according to the Spirit? Via the word of the Lord? According to wise counsel? The precepts? Or do you handle matters according to the ways of this world? That's being impatient. You just run out of patience. You're getting angry. Right? All praises. Right? The brother Melodic Tunes, Khan. Right? My thoughts. It's like, yeah. My thoughts and my actions are two different things. All praise to the Most. That's how it should be. Right? So guess what? Are you handling the matter according to the world, which is lack of patience, anger, not wise sentences, getting emotional? A lot of men, you could get emotional, man. A lot of women, they get emotional. Then they blow up. All hell breaks loose. Things are destroyed. All because they didn't handle the matter according to the world and not wisely according to Proverbs 16 and 20. All of these things is again, the choice is yours. And this thing is about a whole heart. It's no in between, it's no lukewarmness. Let's get that in Revelation. That's the point we're expounding on. It's literally all in or not all in. It's no 1 foot out, 1 foot in. If you're not there, you want to definitely aspire to be like Caleb, who wholly followed the Lord. To be like Joshua, who wholly followed the Lord and inherited the promised land. If they could do it, that means it's done. Yahushua, who wholly followed the Lord, who didn't turn to the right or to the left. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 3, and verse number 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. So the Lord knows your works. The Lord knows the things being done in the dark. The Lord knows the matters that you handle off camera. The Lord knows how you conduct yourself off camera. The Lord sees how you conduct yourself in the shower. The Lord sees how you conduct yourself on the airplane. The Lord knows all thy works. Nothing is hid from him. That thou art neither cold nor hot. You're supposed to be hot. You're supposed to be on fire, fervent in the spirit, serving the Lord. But it says, I would that thou were cold or hot. Meaning, I wish you was either one or the other. The Lord, he doesn't like in between. He doesn't like warmness. The Lord said, hey, I'd rather you be cold than you to be lukewarm. That's what he's saying. And that's deep when you think about it. Because the Lord wants you to pick a side. He wants you to choose. You either on his team wholeheartedly or not at all. So he says, I thought I would thou were cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm, neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. So since you're not even 1 foot in on the other, or cold or hot, the Lord is going to not deal with you. He's going to reject you. You're going to be like Esau, and you're going to have no place of repentance. You're going to be knocking, hey, Lord, Lord, open it to me. And the Lord is going to say, I never knew you. All for what? Not making the right decisions. Choice making. Again, you want to be like Caleb. Let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 32. Right? Let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 32, and verse number 12. Alright, this is the book of Numbers, chapter 32, and verse number 12. Save Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, and Joshua, the son of Nun, for they have wholly followed the Lord. The only two men to wholly follow the Lord that came out of Egypt was Joshua and Caleb. Not Aaron, not even Moses himself, not Zelophehad. None of the men that was in the wilderness save Joshua and Caleb. They wholly followed the Lord. The point is, you're either going to wholly follow Satan, or you're going to wholly follow Yahweh Bashem Yahushua in his truth. Right? You could have the intentions of serving the Lord, but not with a right heart. Let's get that in 2 Chronicles, chapter 25. And that's deep when you think about it. Because you're laboring in vain. Man. Let's go to the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 25, and verse number 2. And it reads, and he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. I'm going to start at verse 1. Amaziah was 20 and 5 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jehoadan of Jerusalem. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. So Amaziah did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. Kept the charge, the commandments. But what? But not with a perfect heart. So he was serving the Lord. He was keeping the commandments, doing his due diligence. Some might even say he was, well, he knew he was an Israelite. Modern day, he would be in the truth. But guess what? His heart wasn't perfect. He wasn't doing it wholly, as the Lord commanded him. All right. So in this instance, right, you don't want to be like Amaziah. You don't want to serve the Lord. You're serving the Lord, but you're not doing it with a perfect heart. You're not doing it with your whole body, mind, and soul. Right? Let's go to the book of Judith, chapter 8. All right. Judith, chapter 8. In verse number 24, the classic. Just Judith chapter 8 and 24. It says what? Now therefore, O brethren, let us shew an example to our brethren, because their hearts depend on us, and the sanctuary and the house and the altar rest upon us. Now you could be two things. You could be a righteous example in its truth, or you could be a wicked, worldly example. You got to ask yourself, are you really an example to the men and women around you? Right? Are you everybody's an example, but are you a righteous example or an evil example? Certainly you an evil example. You getting too much liquor in you on the feast days. Now you just uttering things that a man shouldn't utter. You having lewd conversations at your job, right? You talk that you shouldn't be talking about, right? You had this one brother a long time ago, right? A long time ago. We was in school, middle school, high school. He had this one man. He was talking about how he had all of these things, right? We got around, I'm saying, we was me and him chilling. We know the brother. Then he got around Eve and turned into a different man. He said, I got this pair of shoes and I got this pair of shoes. And I got this designer right here, and I got this. And I'm looking at him. I'm just like, what? What are you talking about? The whole time, he wasn't a good example. That's an example of what not to be like. He was being somebody who he wasn't, right? It wasn't him, but he was putting on that front and that visage. So you could be a worldly example by the things that you do. Or you could be a righteous example by the things that you do. The choice is yours. You have life and death before you. All right. Now, let's go to the book of Titus chapter 2. I'm going to get this in Titus chapter 2 and 7. All right. So again, topic of this cold cut is the world or the truth. You must choose one. All right. And again, the choice on a deeper level, only time will tell which one you choose. Because you could choose, you could say, I'm in this truth, I'm right now. So, man, I'm going to choose the Lord any day. But as you're going to do that 5 years from now? What about when Jacob's trouble comes and the guillotines get brought out? What choices you going to make then? What about the hour of temptation that's going to come upon man and try them that dwell upon the earth? What about then? So the choice is ultimately up to the Lord on a deeper level and what you're going to choose. Because again, you could choose the truth right now, but 7 years from now, 8, 10, if we're still here, you might choose the world and be like Damas. All right, sell out your brother. Choose Satan. Choose lust. Next thing you know, you're out of this thing. Likewise with the men in the world, you might be choosing the world right now. Doing worldly things, things you shouldn't be doing. Guess what? 2 years from now, you get your act together. And you choose this truth. So it's about consistency. Let's go to the book of Titus, chapter 2. Right? This Titus chapter 2 and verse number 7. And all things, showing thyself a pattern of good works, and doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity. So you want to make sure you show a pattern of good works. What's a pattern of good works? Consistency. You doing works consistently. You're not taking vacations off. You're not just doing this for a little while, then you take 2 years off. You know where to be found. You're MIA. You pack up, you leave to Africa. You go to Africa. No, you're doing these things consistently. Right? So you want to keep that in mind as well. Let's go to the book of Romans chapter 2. All right. Romans chapter 2 and verse number 12. It's like in Romans 2 and 2. It's like in Romans 12 and 2. Right? So like you. Romans chapter, I'm thinking a lot. This Romans 12 and 2. And be not conformed to this world. All right, that's straight up and down. Don't be conformed to this. We're gonna tell you what to choose. Obviously, the truth. All right, don't be conformed to this world, man. We just read that this world passeth away. It's nothing here for you, right? You have the Lord. The Lord is all you need. You don't need anybody else or anything else. All right. Hey, that's a good precept, man, that the brother Don Israel put in the chat. 1 Kings 18 and 21. It says, Elijah came unto him and all the people and said, how long, how ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. And the people answer him not a word. Right? Hey, that's a mean one. That's a mean account. Yeah, Elijah, he told those men, guess what? What are you going to do? Hey, those men, they couldn't give him an answer. All right? They didn't answer him a word. I thought the Lord said in 1 Peter chapter 3 and 15, be ready always to give an answer to every man that asks you a reason with the hope and meekness that's within you. I thought the Lord said that in 1 Peter chapter 3 and 15. All right. So guess what? You got to choose ye this day what you're going to do. That's Joshua. We're going to get that. That's Joshua 24 and 15. But the point is, the Lord said, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may that ye may prove what that is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So you can't be conformed to the world. You have to be transformed by your mind. Your mentality, everything about you has to change. You can't bring bits and pieces from the world into the truth. And that's on all aspects. That's the language you speak, the slang, right? Your mind, what you think about certain things, that has to change. What you listen to, what you watch. And guess what? Your mentality has to change. Right? Let's go to the book of Joshua, chapter 24. All right, let's go to the book of Joshua, chapter 24 and 15. Joshua 24 and 15. But if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So guess what? You got to choose what you're going to do, man. Right? You're going to serve the gods of this world, Satan, his demons, the flesh, peer pressure, these different things. Or you're going to be like Joshua and say, hey, as for me, hey, we're going to serve the Lord. We're going to keep the commandments, man. We're going to keep the feast days. We're going to put off the old man. We're going to be more and more and more transformed into the new man. We're going to cast off the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. Again, the choice is up to you. Right? But with that, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. Lord willing, this video was edifying. Continue to read, pray, fast, and study. Most importantly, beseech the Heavenly Father for his mercy. I'm going to say shalom.